Notts County Talk back as always on a Thursday. It's episode 58 of the Pavis Perspective. It's a double preview. It's Maidstone and Wealdstone. Two fixtures we'll go on to talk about shortly, I think, and I'm not sure about you, George. I'm sure you'll give your opinion. I think we should be looking at 6 points in these games. Evening, Ian, joining us again. Callum, good to have you. Elvis, good to have you. Charlie says, can't make the live episode in America, but personally, I believe the season needs to be about getting promotion next season. If we're in League 2, we can care about the cups. Evening, Derek, and evening, Maggie, and Shane as well from a stormy South Coast. George, how are we doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Fairly relaxed.
For you.
Thanks, mate. Last evening of holiday, I've had a 5-day break away at York before I start a new job next week.
You didn't have that book, did you, until full time on Saturday? You just had to get away, didn't you?
I had to get away, mate.
Straight from the ground, didn't even give me a lift home. Just book wherever you could.
Yeah,
tough, isn't it?
It's tough, mate. It's tough. You've been on holidays, haven't you? You got a lovely time.
I had a lovely time. Yeah, got back from Bulgaria at 5 o'clock this morning.
Lovely.
Bit of sightseeing in the capital. Went to CSK Sophia's ground.
What's that like?
Makes Maidenhead look good. So, no, it's a proper old school ground. Proper old school in the middle of a park. Like it's nice ground. And then, but yeah, it's death trap. Even going through turnstiles, death trap. Evening, Jim. Loads of you joining us. Athenian Pie, even all. Glad to be able to get you live for once. Glad you can join us. If you are listening back on Spotify as well, don't forget to give us a rating on there. I'm massively appreciated. What we're going to do tonight, then, we're going to look back to last week. I sort of, with an FA Cup weekend, have sort of switched off with going away. We've both been away. Wasn't too bothered about going out, and I might get shot down for that, about going out the FA Cup, because I think this year it's great to have money from the FA Cup, but this year's about the league for me. And as it currently stands, we don't have a big enough squad for the FA Cup. Wrexham had to play again on Tuesday night. They've got through, so another fixture is going to be moved to a Tuesday. I don't think our squad is geared up for that. So I wasn't too disheartened. What about you? I was disheartened with how we lost. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, performance. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. There's a lot of improvements to be made on some of the things that were going on in that game. Some individuals just weren't up to it at all. But looking at the bigger picture, like you've just said, the less fixtures I think this season for us outside of the league, the better. Rawlinson said it in his post-match. The last few seasons we've been down here, we've done quite well in other competitions. Like you said in one of the videos where we always seem to get to the semi-final of the trophy. We've done okay. I mean, okay for this level in the FA Cup, I suppose. So I think it's not a good thing to go out the FA Cup, but I think in the long run, less games will benefit us because, like you said, the squad, we're not really geared up for it. We don't really have the squad for it. And I think that was sort of shown against Colville, really.
Yeah, it's a hard one to weigh up because on one hand, you look at how well it did for Lincoln and look where they are now as a club. They ended up playing Arsenal and did fairly well against Arsenal, beat some big teams in their journey to that game, and they made so much money from it. I spoke about Chesterfield last week when they got Chelsea. Otherwise, they'd have been in a bit of a financial mess, I think, anyway. But this weekend I'd rather not have had to play another game before this Friday game. When they scored their goal to make it 3-2, part of me thought I'd rather it just end than extra time, which is a weird way to look at it. But also the performance was shocking, absolutely shocking.
And I think it's worth saying as well, from my perspective, even when we were losing in that game, I just felt like we were still going to win.
What, on Saturday?
Yeah, I genuinely did. Like every moment of that game when we were behind, I thought that we'd come back and win, genuinely. And I've not felt like that from a Notts team for quite a while.
Fair enough.
But I was wrong.
You're wrong. And that's
the
something
bottom
that
line.
We're quite used to on this channel. Yeah? you're not being right. Should we get on with our would I pie to you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get on with it. So we've had week 1. Who used to work in a pub kitchen? George was your answer. Week 2. Who passed the driving test first time? George was the answer.
1 minor.
1 minor. Week 3. Who was a qualified FA referee? I was the answer. Week 4. Let's get on with it. Okay. Today's Would I Pie to You is who once almost cut their finger off at work, the end of their finger. Who once almost cut the end of their finger off at work, resulting in a nice trip to hospital. I'll tell people first, George, what happened.
Go on then, tell them.
I'm a bit of a squeamish person, as you know.
We both are, yeah.
Bit of a squeamish person. Yeah, we're not great, are we? But do you know those packets you get, which are insanely hard to open? They've got the crimped edges. You get them on like a lot of like, I don't know, painting and decorating things, or those crimped edges that are impossible to get open. Couldn't find my scissors, and
don't know well.
Nightmare. So I went to the work kitchen, got a knife, started doing that thing where you twist a hole in it. Just kept twisting, slipped, end of my finger. Nightmare. Blood everywhere. And I was the only one in work at the time. Had to get my phone, stumble my way to the car, lightheaded as anything. Gives me the shakes thinking about it.
And you drove yourself to the hospital?
I didn't drive myself to the hospital, no. I couldn't do it in the end. I thought I could be big and brave, but I wasn't.
How did you get there?
I got a lift. Got a lift off my dad.
Off your dad?
Bleeding out in the car.
Love that. You didn't ruin the interior then?
No, I was hanging out the window.
Okay.
Half, I was almost passed out. How did you do it then?
So, I
don't believe it.
I was cutting some material with it was like a piece of plastic, but it had like a bit of a chamfered edge, and I was using a Stanley knife, and I was going down the edge of the ruler. Probably shouldn't have used it. It wasn't a ruler. It was just a piece of straight plastic. Had a bit of a chamfered edge. As I was going down the material, the knife rode up onto the chamfered edge. Boom, right into my finger. Fresh blade in the Stanley knife. Blood everywhere. Literally everywhere.
Where was the blood?
Everywhere. I had to mop it up. It was literally on the walls and everything.
Okay.
It was bad.
Blood on the walls?
Yeah, it was bad.
I'm not sure I believe it. You had me until that. Blood on the walls?
Yeah.
Not for me.
And then I went to the first aider because, I'm by the book. He took one look at it and he says, you got to go to A&E. Boom, straight to A&E. I sat in A&E, my arm in the air like that.
How'd you get there?
He took my first aider took me.
Really?
Yeah. So I looked like a child that had the answer to the question that the teacher just asked for about an hour. Just had my hand in the air, stop the flow of blood.
Fair enough. So if you think George almost cut the end of his finger off at work, you can vote now. If you think I almost cut the end of my finger off at work, you can vote now. Last week was very one-sided, wasn't it? This week,
it's looking the same.
Looking the same. But you never know. People could be wrong. Dave said it's me. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. Right. Let's keep going with the football then. So, does anybody make it in to the starting lineup for Friday night for you? Anybody?
What, anybody at all? Just put nobody out. The starting 11.
Don't try and be funny.
What, do you mean from the Colwell game?
Yeah.
I think from the entire 11, I'd say Rawlinson, Brindley. I know Brindley didn't have the best game, but once in a blue moon for Brindley.
I rewatched the goals just before we came live, and he actually gave the ball away for the third as well. Richard Brindley, really off character.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's very off character for him. It's difficult. Because as good as a game, well, it wasn't a fantastic game. He just was there at the right time for the goals, wasn't it, Sam Austin?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd put him in. I don't know. I don't feel like I've seen enough of him to say yes, he gets that start. Do you know what I mean? Whereas players like Ruben, even Bajrami had a bad game against Colville, and that was the thing that shocked me the most. I think Bajrami was way off, and that's from what we've seen of him so far this season is just so out of character of him too. So I think all in it was just a bad day at the office, wasn't it?
A couple of people were telling us they thought Joel Taylor had a good game. Yes, he got the assist for Austin's second goal, but it shouldn't have been an assist really. The keeper just went for a walk. I thought, I don't think Joel Taylor was very good in my opinion. There's a bit of a rallying cry, isn't there, from Luke Williams about Joel Taylor?
Yeah, there was, yeah.
And I don't necessarily think it's not just him. I'm not just picking on him because I will go and talk about everyone else, but there needs to be, I don't know. Chickson's got that spot nailed down, absolutely nailed down. No one's taking it off him.
Yeah,
I don't see how anyone's taking that off him.
What about Adebayo Rowling?
I thought he was good. I thought he was quite good. Dangerous. Gets the assist for the first. Non-stop down the line. But again, Aaron Neman is just that bit better at the minute. If you were to say to me though, which side are you most comfortable with? I'm way more comfortable with the options we've got on the right than the left. And I said it in the last episode, and I know it's not going to happen because I think he's gone moving close to home. But I think as cover for Chickson, I would have had Calvin Miller back. I suspect because I said that before the Colville game. I think Calvin Miller would be a better option than Joel Taylor.
Okay.
I just don't see enough from him.
Yeah.
Don't see enough. What do you think on that? You pulled a face.
I don't know. I just want to have Calvin Miller back. I don't really see a point in bringing him back in, to be honest.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it. I'd rather have had him in than Joel Tayller.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose.
Joel Taylor's scored a worldie against Maidenhead, just not done anything since.
Yeah,
me. I was crying out from last season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, I think, what happens because Luke Williams has been talking about he's got a few things that he needs to change, and he's a great lad and he's working really hard and all that. And he said that a couple of times now. And who was he on? Who's he said it about? He said it about Adebayo Rowling, hasn't he? Pretty much. And we've seen him a couple of times now, and he's done fairly well. So it'll be interesting to see if Taylor can sort of turn it around under the management that obviously Luke Williams has him under, because he obviously is managing that situation. So for me, it will be interesting to see how that one pans out if we just don't see him again, and we'll see him maybe in the trophy, or if anything happens to Chickson, God forbid, touch wood. Yeah, maybe we will see him, and maybe we'll see him play well. But like I've just said, I'm really interested to see how that one develops, because it's testament to Williams, I think, when players sort of are out for so long and they come back and they've sort of hit the ground running.
Yeah, I agree. So for me, Austin gets his way into the squad. Obviously, Brindley was already in the team and Rawlinson was, but of players that weren't starting, for me, it's just Sam Austin.
Yeah. I think we agree on that one, I think, don't we?
But like Ian just said, who do you drop? Because
yeah, exactly. That's it, isn't it? That's my dilemma, really.
It's hard because you're asking players that aren't in the team to go and find themselves a spot, aren't you? So it's a hard one. Like, we're top of the league. Yeah. That game aside, keep that as a one-off game. That game aside, you're not really going to change that much.
Yeah, and for me as well, what Austin offered in that game was he was in the right place at the right time for the goals. Whereas I think with the first team, you have that on the pitch already. You've got Langstaff, you've got Ruben, you've got Scott. So I think Austin, maybe if we saw something else from him, more of a creative sort of aspect to his game, maybe we would see him come in and start against Maidstone. But like, who knows? Anything could happen tomorrow night. To be fair, I was quite shocked that there was 8 changes, because we've never, whilst we've been down here, I can't recall a manager doing that.
No.
So who knows? But for me, that's the way I see it. He did enough for me, but the people that are ahead of him, they can't be dropped.
And Austin as well. You never want this to be you, but he's sort of on the at the minute. You see him as like what a good option off the bench.
Yeah.
And that's no player wants to be known as that. But he comes off the bench and he's the liveliest player on the pitch because he's fresher than everyone and he makes things happen like so well. It's hard, isn't it? Because we've got that winning team at the minute and Scott's scoring goals and Langstaff's scoring goals. So if Mitchell had have scored 2 or 3 on Saturday, would he still have he wouldn't have dislodged Langstaff? No way. Probably not Scott either. So you've got to have been exceptional to earn your place. I'm looking at that, and even before the ball was kicked, no matter how well Adebayor Rawling played, I can't see him playing over the man. No way.
Yeah.
Who else came in? Brad Young. No matter how well he played, he's never going to get his spot over Slocum. Kyra Mitchell never going to. Castro, possibly, but I wasn't massively impressed with Castro on Saturday. I thought he looked pretty lazy, if I'm honest. Not as in he didn't work hard, as in he just took so long to do everything. He looked like he had all the time in the world.
Yeah, from my perspective, to me it looked like I think he underestimated Colville a little bit.
Yeah.
He was taking too long on the ball. He was, I don't know, trying to be a bit too slick, I think, and sometimes you've got to keep it simple, haven't you? But he wasn't the Castro we saw against York. And I know obviously the goal helps him at York, but he played quite well against York.
He did.
I think he played for 70 minutes. For those 70 minutes, he was really good. But against Colville, he was poor, if we're honest.
Really poor. Really poor. We didn't do a player ratings for the Colville game.
No, I'm glad we didn't, to be fair.
If you took Sam Austin out of that, my next highest would be Adebayor Rawling. And after that, you're looking at 5s. Maybe 4s, 3s. Some players would have got a 3. So Ian says, do you think Cara gets a start again, barring injuries? FA Trophy. That's it, I think.
Yeah,
I think even if now Notts get into a run, I don't know. I've looked at the fixture, but I haven't looked if they're Saturday, Tuesday yet. But there will be some postponements because it's just what this league is. Even if we have postponements and we consistently go Saturday, Tuesday in the league, I think he would change the system to rest Scott or Langstaff. He would change the system to put Austin in or to put Castro in before he would put Kyra Mitchell in. I'm so confused and disappointed because he scores the goal against Bournemouth, and it's a really good goal. And then he scores a similar goal. Someone remind me who against?
Halifax, was it?
Halifax. And I'm thinking, we've got it. And he ran to the fans and he celebrated in front of the fans. And it riled a few fans. I didn't really care, if I'm honest. Like, celebrate how you want. You see some mad celebrations in football. I don't care. But he's not backed anything up since. And he's not even been close. Like, did he have a shot against Colville? The main striker on the pitch I don't think had a shot against Colville at home.
Yeah.
Didn't even have like a block shot. If I'm someone's going to come in and say, yeah, Tom, he had 6 shots. I actually can't recall one. So Chris says Francis, Castro and Mitchell all confirm why they aren't first choice. They can maybe do a job in single games, but would struggle if they had to play regularly. Yeah, I think that sums it up. Francis, a little bit different. I think Francis has got more about him than the other two. But I have seen a few things knocking around about Vincent.
Yeah. Let me just say as well, right? I think one thing you do have to remember, as bad as it was, and it was fairly disjointed, I think, for 8 changes, and I know they trained together, but they've not played competitively together, have they? The majority of that team. So essentially, 70% of that team is basically like the start of a season, and you get those anomalies at the start of the season. Do you know what I mean? So I think it was difficult for those players put in, but at the same time, it was the chance to sort of step up and show their level to exercise that right. And like you said, Francis a little bit different. I think he's a funny one, isn't he, Francis? Because you just sort of
first game of the season, he ran the whole game.
Yeah, like he has those games. And same with Castro. Like I sort of feel like if you individually bring any of the players bar one or two that came in for the Colville game into the starting 11 that we see in the league, I don't think they have as much of a bad game.
Yeah.
Because what's going on around them is more sort of unified.
Yeah. If you look at the strangest thing is with that game, if you look at areas of the pitch where people are familiar with the people around them, right? You've got who's I feel really bad, but what's the young lad's name? I can't remember.
What, the keeper?
No.
Oh, the centre half. I can't remember.
Off the top of my head, it's gone out of my head. He's never played in a competitive game next to Rollo or Joel Taylor, right? One of the poorest performers on the pitch, Brinley, consistently plays next to Rawlinson and has played next to Adebayo Rawlin.
Yeah.
And has played with the midfielders in front of him, like Francis. I just can't work that one out. Yeah, Lucien Mahova. I felt for him. Really felt for him. I watched him again. I think
he was hard done by as well, because there was so many passes that he was just being passed to, and it's like they were putting him under so much pressure. And yet 2 or 3 times he turned his way out of that pressure really well and started an attack. You got to give him credit for that. What was he, 17 or 18?
Yeah.
You can see that. Obviously, it's good. I think it's good to see youngsters coming in. And Rawlinson, takes responsibility in his post-match, as he probably should have helped him a little bit more. And, for me, yeah, he probably should have. But they know, and it's all part of the learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it can only get better. So, I mean, like you say, he made sort of 2 errors. And the first one, the error came from us defensively anyway. And he was left pretty open by Taylor as well. He was exposed. So, yeah, I agree. Rawlinson probably should have helped him a little bit more. But then there's more pressure on Rawlinson, isn't there, then? Because it's sort of, look, we're talking about it as Rawlinson. It's not Rawlinson's performance. So it's a hard one. It is a difficult one. We'll go back to the Vincent point then. Vincent, if he played that game, would have offered more than Castro did. I almost guarantee it, and possibly more than Ed Francis did.
Yeah.
It's now looking, though, we're light, and I would have him back.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a strange one, the Vincent situation, because we've seen his qualities. Like when he came in, he was sort of one of those players. It was last season, wasn't it? When he came in, we were sort of calling out, "Where's Vincent? Where's Vincent?" He comes in, like probably one of the best players for a few weeks. And I remember Kings Lynn away. He ran the show. It was great, really good. Gets a goal as well against Kings Lynn. And then Williams comes in, and it's sort of like we're not seeing him. He's in and around, and I feel like it's a bit deeper than ability. So I feel like something, like I'm not sparking any rumors or anything, but surely it's deeper than ability. Because ability-wise, for me, he offers more than Castro. Like you just said it. So why did we bring Castro in and loan out Vincent?
Free kicks. Signed for the free kicks. Look, I'm not. It sounds like we're getting on at Castro. I think he's when he plays well, he plays really well. The players are in this division because they can't do it week in, week out. And Castro's young, he's learning. So Chris says Vinny isn't happy on the bench, doesn't get ahead of first choice or Austin for me. No, he doesn't. Austin's still ahead of him. But it's if something goes wrong, as in with an injury or possibly suspension, we're very light, insanely light. But there we go. Remember, you can vote on the poll. Quite a few votes so far. Who once almost cut the top of their finger off at work? Do you think it was me? Or do you think it was George? Landslide at the minute.
Landslide.
I think some people are going to be a bit shocked. I do. I mean, look, if you have a look back on some of the videos, look when I'm holding the mic. That's all I'm saying. Some people have put the votes in very early. So, 2 games in the space of a few days. A Friday game. I am excited for a Friday game because it can set your weekend up really well. It can also ruin your weekend.
Yeah.
But we if we can win on Friday, you're looking at Wrexham up going to Boreham Wood and Chesterfield at home to Bromley. So one of the chasing pack is dropping points, if not 2, if not 4. If they all draw, we've pulled away from everyone even further. Boreham Wood is going to be a hard place to go and get a result for Wrexham.
Yeah.
Personally, I think they'll do it. I think Wrexham will probably go and win. Chesterfield against Bromley, on the other hand, I'm not so sure. Even if Wrexham go and get the result against Boreham Wood, that's still Boreham Wood pushed further back. So it's all about creating a gap between us and that chasing pack. How are you feeling about Friday?
Yeah, I'm feeling quite confident. I think that the sort of first team will be itching to get back in. Sort of seen a few of them leaving after the game on Colville, looking disappointed. And you just, for me, I think you put Cameron back in the team. There's a bit of steel. I think we'll see a bit of a reaction, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I don't think we'll just roll over. Like, remember the reaction we got after we didn't necessarily play very well against Boreham Wood and Gateshead, and then lackluster against sort of Chesterfield for most of the game. I think we're going to come out all guns blazing, and if we get an early goal, I think the game's there for us.
Yeah,
I think it is. The pressure's there. They'll just put win tomorrow and we go 8 ahead of Chesterfield. All the pressure's on them for Saturday. So it's a massive opportunity early on to open a little bit of a gap. And if we can open a gap up, who knows? This is very early. I said there's not a chance that we stay top for the rest of the season. I think we'll mix it up. But if the gap opens up and we just be ruthless and take our chances, who knows where it could open up?
Yeah.
Which of the two do you think is more difficult? It might seem obvious, but is it Friday or Tuesday?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think they're both difficult for their own reasons. I think there's probably going to be a bit of angst for Friday night's game because, like I've just sort of mentioned, players will want to right the wrongs from last weekend. But then Tuesday we're away, so I'm going to say away. Tuesday night,
even though they've just lost their top scorer to Woking, it makes it a lot easier for us.
Yeah, it does certainly. But
I think I'd have to agree with you that Tuesday is probably the trickier test. But could you imagine if we come out tomorrow night and go 1 down, then it'll be a test of character. But with this team, I agree with you. If we went 1 down in the first 10 minutes, I'd still back us to win. If I'd have looked on paper at the start of the season and you'd said to me, find the fixture before a ball's kicked, find the fixture that you're most confident for in the whole league, I'd have picked tomorrow's fixture. And I'm not just saying that now. Like, I genuinely was looking for when we played this fixture. If we lost, I'd be gutted.
Yeah,
gutted, because we can't be coming out of that game without 3 points. So I think it's one where we have to win. We absolutely have to win. Well, obviously, we roughly know the side that's going to face Maidenhead. Roughly, we've sort of spoke about if anyone will come in. We've got the bonus, haven't we, of an extra day's rest for the Tuesday game?
Yeah.
I think I think it's important.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you got to take it. It's an extra day to sort of train and focus on the Wealdstone game because, when you go Saturday, Tuesday, it literally leaves you 2 games. And I know that Notts normally have Sunday off, don't they, after a game? So literally, if that is the case, you have then 1 day to sort of get yourselves ready for a game Tuesday night. So yeah, I think it's only beneficial, isn't it? And it does seem to be the way. I think the way this season, we seem to be having a fair amount of breaks between games, don't we? It's not been Saturday, Tuesday relentlessly, has it? Which we've seen in previous seasons.
No, and that's another important point why we're not in the cup. Like, fair enough if you wanted to be in the FA Cup, and wanted a good run. I'd liked a good run, but now we're not. Take the positives from not being in that.
Yeah.
Because now we do have this opportunity to rest. I hope Wrexham and Chesterfield go far in the cup. I hope they do. Not far enough to get a massive amount of money. Wrexham don't really need that anyway, but let them keep playing. We play Maidstone, 21st in the league, 12 points, conceded 30. They've scored 17, which is not bad. 17 and you're fourth from bottom. We've scored 31. We've conceded 13. Everything is just screaming for us to go and win that game. I know it's been a Notts fan. Third in the form table for points at home. Wrexham are top. Wrexham have won every home game, but they obviously can't. They struggle to play away. Away from home, Maidstone have picked up 4 points out of a possible 21. I mean, over 2/3 of the goals they've conceded have come away from home. But I feel like, do you think we're going to say this on the channel for as long as Notts are going? Like, as long as we've got this channel, these are the games, aren't they, that Notts fans dread the most?
Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, it's funny. There's a select few teams where, I don't know, like, when we've been facing, like, for example, Wrexham, I felt quite confident going into that game, which was quite strange. Same with Chesterfield. And there's maybe one or two of the top teams where I don't feel that confident playing against. For example, Grimsby last season were just horrible to play against, as proven. But yeah, we always seem to do all right against the sort of top sides, don't we? And then, the games when we sort of really should win, and on paper, we really should be winning them, we seem to struggle a bit, don't we? And break them records. Who was it at the start of the season where they'd not scored? And they ended up scoring against us.
Halifax.
Yeah.
But we said categorically on this channel they will 100% score.
Yeah, exactly.
And they did.
And so I think Dale's just put in the live chat, they've not won in 8 games.
Can I read you their results?
Go on.
They lost 4-1 to Gateshead.
Yeah.
They drew with Wealdstone. They then lost 3-0 to Bromley. Okay, they were away at Bromley. That's hard. They then lost 2-1 to Chesterfield. Tricky. They lost 3-1 to Bournemouth. They lost 4-3 to Barnet. 1-1 with Halifax. And I know we lost to Colville as well. They lost 1-0 to Needham Market. At least we scored against Colville. I mean, the manner and how they've been losing games as well. They lost the Barnet game, which ended up being ended up with 4 goals for Barnet, 3 for Maidstone. They've conceded 90th minute. They've let 4, 3 again, 4 again. Got to get that then. They started the season pretty well. They haven't won since the 29th of August. So we just have to go at them. We have to go. We only let 3 in against Dorking. They let 4. There you go. Done. Yeah. If you look at that, they let 5 into Wrexham. Wrexham might have been smashing teams this season. I'd like to see us go out there and make a statement again. Because if we go out and don't put a great performance in, then it's sort of like, oh, they didn't beat Colville and then they only just scraped past Maidstone. Then doubt creep in. If you go out 2-0, 3-0, it's done and dusted and no one remembers the Colville game. And then we go on to Tuesday. So I'm hopeful. I am hopeful. And I'm going to be hopeful all season. But I just think just go out there and just play the football we can, and I think we'll get the win. Right, team for that game then. We saying the same formation that we've been playing most of the season?
Yeah.
I'll go Slocum in goal, Chickson, Neman at wing backs with Brunley, Rawlinson, Cameron.
Agreed.
Midfield. I'm interested to know if you're putting Bajrami in after.
I'm putting Bajrami in.
Go on then. What are you going with?
For me, I don't see who else you can put in. So for me, I'm going Bajrami, Matty Palmer, and Ruben. Sort of Bajrami and Palmer being the deeper, obviously. And then up top, Scott and Langstaff.
I'm going Palmer, Austin, Ruben, Scott, Langstaff. I'm putting Austin in, and I'll play Bajrami away at Wealdstone. 100%. What kind of changes? I know it's hard to say now because there could be injuries or fatigue or the way the result goes. But would you make many changes for the game on Tuesday, given that we've got that extra day?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, depending on how the game pans out, I think if we're winning and we're comfortable, I think you take the sort of obvious off. So your Langstaffs, maybe your Ruben. That's it, really, I suppose. But that's all hindsight sort of stuff, isn't it? But for my team, I'd like to see Austin bought on regardless of how the game's going, because I think he brings something special when he's bought on as a sub. And I think for sure he'll get his chance. For sure.
Yeah. I was looking on the table then, and I was thinking, where are Wealdstone? Couldn't see them down at the bottom. They're 9th. That's genuinely shocked me. They've conceded the same amount of goals as Notts. They've won away at Oldham. They've beaten Bromley on the opening day. They've drawn with Woking. Great result.
Yeah.
Narrowly lost to Solihull. Narrowly lost to Boreham Wood. Well, they played Boreham Wood in the league, 2-1 loss, and then lost 5-3 in the cup. But that's going to be way harder than I thought. I mean, this is just like, you shouldn't really think this, but I hear Wealdstone, and I think bottom 5 or 6. They've done well.
Yeah.
I mean, they've only scored 14, and their top scorer has very few goals. Same with Maidenhead, their top scorer with 3 goals. We've got Jack Barham. But yeah, Ian says Wealdstone had a great start to the season. It is a good start. It is a really good start. Right, George, let's do our prediction or the poll first? Let's do the poll. Can I reveal it tonight?
What apply to? Yeah, go on then.
I'll take the job off you. I'm feeling brave. Right.
Yeah.
The poll tonight was, who out of myself and George almost cut their finger off at work? Now, last week was a landslide. This week, almost the same, but in the opposite direction. 25% of people think I almost cut my finger off at work. 75 think it was you.
Yeah. I'd love to know the reasons behind that one.
And,
I must look clumsy.
Shall I tell him who it was?
Tell him.
Well, interesting. I'm not daft enough to nearly cut my finger off, am I? That would never be me. George, was that the true story as well?
It was, yeah. You're not even going to be able to see the scar on camera either, but yeah, it's pretty bad.
Was it a dark day?
It was a dark day.
Did you go back to work next day? Yeah.
Straight back to it.
Unbelievable, that is.
I had like a finger sling on. You ever seen them before?
No.
It's just, essentially it is what it says on the tin. You like have a bandage on it, and you have like a plastic sling that like kind of attaches to your wrist.
What was the pain like?
It wasn't painful. It wasn't painful because it was a Stanley knife. It was like such a clean cut. It didn't really hurt.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, but it must have meant it bled more.
Yeah, bled loads. Oh. That's why, like I said, I had to have my arm in the ear to stop the flow because it was just pumping.
I thought my story was quite good,
Yeah, no, it was all right.
My story was quite good because those things with like the crimpled edges, they're a nightmare to get off, aren't they? Nightmare. Chris has 100% record.
Jade said because I used the word chamfered. Love that.
There you go. When you use that word, I thought I've had it here.
Yeah, yeah.
I've had it. Anyone else got 100% record? Let us know. Right. Score predictions. We'll go for score prediction for Friday. I love that Friday night game. And then a score prediction for Tuesday. No, there's no Sunday show this week, Chris. Right. George, what are you thinking for Friday?
2-0 Notts. Clean sheet. Back to winning ways. Langstaff to get a goal. And Rawlinson.
Nice. I'm going 3-0. Clean sheet. Back to winning ways. Langstaff to get 2 goals. And Ruben.
Oh, thought you were going to say Rawlinson
Very
then.
similar. No.
Reeled me in. You reeled me in.
What about Tuesday? Much harder game than I thought. Much harder.
Yeah, much harder. Much harder. So I'm saying 4-0. No, I'm joking. 2-1. 2-1. I think it is going to be one of those where we have to grind the result out. I really do. And I know that they've lost, like you said, their league goal scorer to Woking, but it's a game that I think a lot of clubs can really get themselves up for, and players are really up for sort of playing not. So, yeah, difficult. 2-1. Langstaff and Ruben penalty.
Langstaff, Ruben penalty. They're the games, I'm going to be saying this all season, but we genuinely wouldn't win away at Wealdstone last season. We'll draw like 1-1 or 2-2 or something ridiculous. Right, let's see what you guys are thinking. We've got in for tomorrow 6-0, Chicks and hat-trick. McAtoo and Scott. Is Callum in? Ooh, not sure how Callum's going to feel about that. Chicks and hat-trick predicted before Callum can get his down. And then Ian says Tuesday 2-1 Ruben and Scott. Let's see what else you're thinking. I'll put some up. We've got Andrew says 4-0 Notts, Macca, Scott, Austin, and Chickson. Stuart says 3-0 Ruben and Scott times 2. I'd love to see Scott scoring again. If we've got 2 strikers that are consistently scoring, that's really good. Notts 3, Wealdstone 0, Macca times 2, and Baj. Let's see. Alex, Friday 3-0, Macca, Ruben, Austin, and Tuesday 2-1. I'll put a few more up. Let's have a look. We've got a Friday 4-0 from Shane and a 2-1 for Tuesday, and then I'll get Chris's up. Chris says 3-0 Macca times 2, and then on Tuesday 2-1 Scott and Ruben. Scott and Ruben's a partnership that a lot of people have sort of gone for to score. Oh, hang on, I've got to put this one in.
Got to.
7-0 Chicks and hat-trick, Macca hat-trick, Rawlinson, and then 4-2 Chicks and hat-trick and Demand. What odds would you get on a Chicks and hat-trick Friday and Tuesday?
I think that they've been slashed.
I think 10-1 now.
Yeah, 10-1.
10-1.
I think they've been slashed because of how much coverage they get online.
Printing money.
Printing money.
Next week is our last, let's call it series 1 of Would I Pie to You. We're not very interesting people, are we? We've almost run out of things to talk about ourselves.
Yeah.
So we've got one more Would I Pie to You. We'll take a break, go back to the polls that we used to do. Maybe even chuck in a former player's anagram on there. We've got that up our sleeve, haven't we, George?
We have.
We have. Not Jamal Campbell-Rice, though, because the hyphen will give it away, possibly. But the final Would I Pie to You. Don't miss that. It's going to be a good one. If you are going tomorrow, enjoy it under the lights on a Friday night. See if we can put a bit of pressure on the teams trying to chase us down. And then on Tuesday night, if you are going to Wealdstone, I will be going. George, unfortunately, thought he was going, but can't make it now. But I'll be representing us there with a vlog. So safe travels for that one. And 6 points out of 6 next Thursday. George will be doing karaoke. He hasn't said it on here, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
So thank you all for watching. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.